and it's not that hard. They do claim that in their time when they've actually made this that it takes 15 minutes or less. Not really. It usually can take a lot longer. What's going to make life easier is if we get some things out, first of all, now that I know that I'm streaming. The first thing you're going to need to have in this case is you're going to need to have something that you can run as a virtual machine. And a virtual machine is simply a piece of software that you can run on your computer to run another operating system on. In other words, we can run WordPress on. And in this case, it's going to run virtually in an operating system, which will make life a lot easier in order to set up our website. And this is a real world example because I'm going to be setting up the website for SysNerd. And let's go ahead and actually set this up. I got my soda here, so let's get started. So the first thing we're going to need to do is we're going to need to make sure we have something that can run virtual machines. And in my case, I have VMware Workstation, which I think is a very handy thing to do and have, but you can actually download VMware Player for free, and that link will be in the description below as I update it. The link also will be in the description below where you want to download the virtual machine in this case. You're going to want to use VMware Player, and you're also going to want, and I'm going to actually shrink this down here so that way we can sort of see where we're going here. So, whoops, that's the other desktop here. Let's see how we're going to do this. Okay, so we shall do this. And, okay, so I'm going to move me right there. And if we take a look here, all we have to do is go to the website. Again, the link will be in the description below. But it's basically called turnkeylinux.org/WordPress. And what we're going to want to do is obviously the first thing we're going to need to do is download VMware Workstation or VMware Player. And once you do that, you just simply download the build. So this, in this case, 335 megabytes build. You just click on that and you want to click download. It's a fantastic website, by the way, if you're ever interested in any other virtual appliances. Now, this is more of an intermediate stuff because I haven't gone through the processes of actually downloading and installing VMware Workstation or VMware Player. But if you're at this point, you might want to research on how to do that, just as a heads up. So what I did was I actually downloaded this right here, this WordPress, and all I did was click on that. And then basically click on the direct link to get the download open. Once you open the download, and I've already installed it here, you just simply want to open it up, and it will allow you to import the virtual machine in to wherever you want. So you might want to specify your path for the virtual machine. Now, the virtual machine, once started, will make it a lot easier to configure and get everything set up. So let me actually make it a little bit easier for everybody to see here. I'll move this around, and we'll get this down here. So might as well view this in full screen. So to set up WordPress, you just have to import that virtual machine, and we're just going to rename it to something like, in my case, SysNerd website. Hit enter, and we're going to power on this virtual machine. Now, the beauty of this whole thing is that it's kind of already set up for us. So all of the hard work that is done in order to, and you want to select Debian, to set up WordPress is already done for us in a virtual machine, which is fantastic. So I don't actually have to do much to get this running, which I think is beautiful. So we're going to let it run through its stuff. Now, virtual machines, again, are basically operating systems that reside on your computer. Now, you have to actually have a decent amount of memory if you want to run a virtual machine. So bear that in mind. I suggest at least 8 gigs of memory because your 4 gigs should be kind of dedicated to the website itself eventually when you get a lot of higher load and everything like that. Now, while I am live here, I'm just going to shrink this down. I want to see if anybody else is on here, and I think it's just myself watching, which is fantastic. The first thing you want to do when you're setting this up is obviously you want to enter a new password for the root account. If you've never used Linux before, just understand that this is the master password, and you do not want to forget this. So I'm going to type in my master password, and please enter a new password. Incorrect. Okay, so it requires actually I be a little bit more. Alright, I'll do my super difficult password. You want to actually have an uppercase letter in this case. Okay. Again, you might want to be careful about this because MySQL is what is kind of the heart and brains of WordPress here, so you want to make that password. And again, it's going to ask you for a couple passwords, and I suggest you remember each one, especially the one for the WordPress, which will obviously get you down. Please enter an email address. This, in this case, will be whatever you want as your email address. So, I guess I'll just use this one. And basically, now you can just, if you want to do some migration, save changing files. In this case, I'm actually going to skip this part because I really don't need to do the hub services. In this case, you can start using the services if you initialize now. You manually do it later. We'll do that. So we'll enable system notifications. Is your email correct? Yes. Hit enter, and I think we should be in better shape now. Now this process, again, will take a little bit of time, saying if we want to install updates. For the sake of review here, you do want to install updates, but in terms of timing, I'm just going to hit skip. And eventually you really do want to run the updates. So what it does is actually it automatically configures an IP address for you based on what your computer or your router really applies to it. You want to make sure, we're going to go over some things you want to do just to make sure your website stays active. I'm going to select advanced and configure my networking because in my case, I guess it doesn't matter. We can keep it the same, but I'm going to go over something really important in the router because that's what really gets our website going here. Now we'll just hit back. Okay, so the cool thing about this right now is that, and by the way, I hit Control and Alt to return to my computer, is that we actually have this active right now. It's actually kind of neat. It took us I started the stream about 7 minutes ago, so I'm actually going to type in the IP address that it tells me to type in here, .179, and we're actually going to see, assuming it works, we're actually going to see it pop up here. Now look at this. This is our default website, and we'll just put this and have this kind of split screen here. This is our default website, and what's cool is now it is up. Now it's up for you. It's not up for everybody else to see in the world, and we'll get over this. We'll go over this in a second, not get over this. So we want to start configuring it now, so what we're going to do is click on the login button, and now we're going to type in our username and password. In this case, it's probably going to be my mail account, or actually, it's going to be admin, excuse me, and the password that you set for it. And we'll just hit login here. And now, what we can do is now we can customize our website. Now, what's interesting about this is that if you don't understand how to use WordPress, you should probably go over some tutorials, and I may be making some in the future. But we do have a basic, very, very basic website going. And right now, in terms of editing and everything, we'll get back to that in terms of actually making a page and everything like that. But this is just our initial setup. As you can see, it took less than 10 minutes to actually physically set this up. As far as our website's concerned, we need to get to our router in order to have everybody see our website. And the thing is that a lot of times if you have an internet service provider that blocks certain ports, you won't actually be able to use your default web port. In other words, if you basically have a website that you want people to go to and see, you have to make sure that this port is enabled and allowed for port forwarding, which we'll go over in a second. So the first thing we really want to do is we want to make sure we have a website and a domain. And that can be bought by GoDaddy in this case. I'm actually going to move this over here and sign in myself to just show you guys an idea of how this is done. Okay, so once we do that, we can go into our domains, and we're going to click on Manage. And if you already have a GoDaddy account, this is pretty simple in terms of getting everything going. So luckily, I've got my sysner.net domain active here. And in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the domain that I have here. And what it will allow us to do now is it will allow us to configure an IP address. And that's really important to know, because in order for us to have everything go to our website, we have to have it set to an IP address. Now we're going to have an issue in a second. Okay. In order to understand the proper process of actually dealing with websites and everything, and I'm jumping around here. So again, this video is really intended to show you how to set it up really quickly. So understand this can go into really a lot more detail, but just understand this. When I type in this IP address here, it doesn't go anywhere. This is all part of your home network. If this went somewhere, we'd be in trouble. You would not be able to properly set up a website. And we actually have to tell our router to go to our IP address. Every computer, every station you have, basically, you would get assigned a public IP address, every internet protocol you have. So in order to understand what you have, you just simply can type in what is my IP. And then in this case, it will give me my public IP address. Now, that's really, really important. And what I want to do now is I want to copy this IP address in. And then we're going to go back to our domain here. And then what we're going to do is this A record, this host, is very important because you need to have this pointing to that IP address that you have, your public IP address. Right now, if I go to sysnerd.net, it's pointing to nowhere. Now, if I edit the record, this host record, this @ means that the website that you're going to, sysnerd.net, is going to point to your public IP address, which is what's assigned to you from your internet service provider. So we're going to hit finish. And we're going to hit save changes. Now, it says your zone has been updated. DNS resolution may take up to 48 hours to reflect your changes. Let's hope that's not the case here. And what we want to do now is, now that we kind of have this pointing to the right IP address, it may take a minute to see the difference and change. I'm going to open up command prompt. And again, this is a little, if you don't have an understanding of how to do this, again, I'll be doing more videos on this, so stay tuned, and we'll talk more about system admin stuff that allows you to do simple commands of getting everything together. But command prompt will allow us to ping our IP address, which basically our domain name, to see if it actually goes to the IP address of my public IP. What is my IP? If it's going to be that, then we're in good shape. If it's going to be that old 198, then it's going to take some time to actually get it to work. Now we're going to actually ping sysnerd.net, and it may take some time for it to actually resolve. But look at that. It actually resolved into our public IP address, which is fantastic. So now, if I go to sysnerd.net, it's going to resolve into our public IP address. Now wait, there's nothing there. In order for us to get this working, so that way we can get this WordPress site going to sysnerd.net, we have to tell our router, which hands out and passes traffic along, that this IP address here is actually going to our public IP address, which is the 32.210.227.215. In order for us to do that, we have to go to our router. And what IP address is our router on? Well, you can actually find out by typing in the command ipconfig and looking at your default gateway, which will give us the router's IP address. So in this case, our default gateway is 192.168.1.254. So what we're going to do is we're going to basically paste and go, and that will be our IP address. And we have to make a change. In this case, I have Frontier. We're going to have to make a change, basically, that will allow us to forward the ports. And that means that we're going to be able to take this right here and work with that public IP address, which is using port 80. And it may be a little bit confusing, so I will be making some other videos to try to explain this. But let's go ahead and go into our IP address, and we're going to go into configure. And in this case, I'm going to move this off of here because I actually have to basically get a password, which I have stored, and connect. And please bear with me as I type this in. Okay, so now what we're going to do in this case is we're going to need to go into, I believe it's IP allocation. No, that's to actually give me 1 second here. Sorry, firewall, because that allows our ports to pass in and throughout. And now we're going to go on. Here we go, NAT/gaming. So as you can see here, eventually I actually set up something called website to go to port 80, and I have done this before. But we actually need to create, and we're going to delete this. We need, in this case, because it's Frontier, to create a custom service. And we're going to call it WordPress website. Not that it matters, but when we want port 80, from port 80, and port 80, because that's our website here. So in this case, I'm going to just call it WordPress website. I know we didn't need to do that because if you look at the website, they're both the same, but that's just how you would go about adding port 80 into it. So we're going to return to NAT/gaming, and what we're going to do is we're going to go to website, WordPress website, and we're actually going to do the one that says 179. Now watch this. So we're going to hit add, hit confirm. So now we're actually pointing our device here to port 80 in a WordPress. And that's using port 80 right there. So now, sometimes it might not actually go right away because you have something called caching, which basically kind of saves the old website and it doesn't get rid of it until later. So, but if I type in sysnerd.net now, you can see that we're kind of stuck here. But if I open up another web browser, which hasn't had any caching done, and we go to sysnerd.net, check it out. So now, and I want to show everybody online, if you are watching this, which I don't think there's anybody watching it right now, what we can do, and now this is, I'm going to, just to show you an example of what I'm going to do now. Now I'm going to go on my phone, which by the way is on LTE. In a sec, come on. Focus here. LTE. I'm going to go to sysnerd.net. No trickery involved here. And check it out. Our website is now online. Anybody in the world can go to this website now. And we are set. Now, this video was under 20 minutes. I just finished all of this in 20 minutes. Now, understand that these topics are so... I did a lot in 20 minutes. If you don't understand the process of websites or understanding how to basically understand the core dynamics behind websites, we really have to review certain things in order for us to have an understanding of things. Also, another thing I didn't do, which is really important, is that IP address, that 179, could be subject to change if things worked in a certain way. So I actually have to locate it so that way it doesn't change, which we'd have to go over. I plan on doing some more IT-related videos that I look forward to doing with you guys. But just understand that this stuff is not as bad as it seems. I did it in less than 20 minutes. And if you get an understanding of my other videos, watch What is a Virtual Machine. I'll do a video on IP addresses and understanding DHCP and subnetting and everything like that. Then it'll be a lot easier to understand. But it's really not that bad, and it took me 20 minutes to set up WordPress. So, having said that, if you've stuck around or you've watched this video and have something to say, definitely put a comment in the description below, and we will talk more about this. But we did set this up. I think that, in my opinion, on this video, I could have been more descriptive on certain things, but I tried to make it under that 19-minute gauge. Although this video is over 20 minutes, we really did finish this topic in 19 minutes. If this is confusing to you, don't feel bad. This is something that's kind of different, and if you're not working in this environment and don't understand it, it's a bit challenging. I will be sure to definitely respond to your comments. If you have any questions, just leave them in the comment below. But we set up a website, and we set it up in under 20 minutes. And in all honesty, if you just wanted a website for yourself and not for others to see, and you wanted to only access it at your house for whatever reason, you could do that. It really would only take you about 10 minutes. You don't even have to understand the other stuff. You just have to understand what a virtual machine is and how to run the application and what to type in for the passwords. And then obviously know to type in the website your public your private IP address. I'm hammering on this topic. I will hopefully be doing some more topics on understanding computers and DHCP and everything like that. So, thank you guys for watching this live video. It actually worked out somewhat pretty smoothly for tech, and I did it under 20 minutes. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and definitely leave a comment below on what you'd like me to do next and what you think I could do better. I look forward to seeing your videos, and in the next video, if you watched all along, I'm going to be doing an unboxing and giveaway of an iPhone 7 case. And guess what? I have another giveaway of another iPhone 7 case, which I'm looking forward to doing. So thank you guys for watching this video. Definitely comment, rate this video, give it a thumbs up. I feel like I'm speaking in the year 2009, and subscribe. Thank you very much for watching.